Good morning to you all and welcome to the county seat. I'm your host, Chad Booth. You may have encountered people getting signatures on petitions lately. They have been at grocery stores, at events, at the Southtown Expo, at the Salt Palace, even on street corners. It's called Count My Vote, and it's a controversial initiative that would be placed on the ballot where we would decide whether we wanted to change the system we select candidates to run for office in the individual parties. Currently, we use a caucus system where people meet in their neighborhoods and talk about the issues that are important to them and select a candidate. If this initiative passes, your first exposure to candidates would be in a primary election, and the full slate of candidates running would be in that primary. Now, this has become quite controversial, and we will discuss the implications that are far beyond the surface implications of changing this system. But first, we have to understand the mechanics. To do that, we are going to look at the world of caucuses as it is and how it would look different under a primary system. With that report, here's Derek Dowsett.
The underlying tenet of our democracy is that everyone has a vote. You cast your ballot, and you help shape our nation. Currently, a debate over an initiative called Count My Vote has been making waves, with the potential to change Utah's election laws.
This is an initiative. They're trying to initiate a law, and so they're collecting signatures. They have to get just over 100,000 signatures in 26 of 29 Senate districts.
Currently, a candidate files a declaration of candidacy with the county clerk's office, and if they are affiliated with a political party, they move into that party's caucus system. The caucuses are made up of neighborhoods or precincts who select delegates. Those delegates are then involved in meeting with candidates and are sent as representatives to the state or county conventions, where the candidates are eventually selected. In this case, if the candidate receives a majority of the votes from the delegates beyond a certain threshold, they move on to a general election and a primary isn't necessary. The Count My Vote initiative seeks to bypass the caucuses and instead requires a candidate to collect a certain number of signatures in order to move on to the primary election.
So you'll have a lot more candidates in the primary because it's not based upon whether you get a certain percent in the convention. And so you'll have a bigger primaries, and of course that will allow for more people to vote, which is the argument that Count My Vote makes as well. This will allow for voters to be able to vote in the primary election, where in the caucus convention system, they could skip the primary and just go straight to the general election.
The signatures that candidates would need to collect to run in the primary would then need to be verified by the county clerks.
The clerk will review those, and then if they meet the threshold, which is 2% of the registered political parties in whatever district they're running.
If it is the full 2% of our population, we're looking at about 19,000 signatures based upon the number of candidates that we had in 2012. We figure each one of those signatures will take anywhere from about 30 seconds to a minute to go through and verify. That's kind of our average time.
And so there's going to be an increase in the cost of bringing in the manpower to review those signatures to ensure that each person is registered to vote. The second cost is, of course, the increase in the number of candidates who will be having primaries. It could be about an $800,000 increase.
But in either scenario, the county clerks are willing to do whatever is necessary to carry out an election according to the law.
There will be an increase in workload, which is something that if that's what happens, that's what we do. But I think that's more of a question to those who set our budgets and make sure that we're able to hire the additional temporary staff if needed, or the additional resources that may be needed to handle that kind of a influx of work.
Thank you, Derek, for that report. Now we understand the mechanics. It's on to the implications of making this kind of a change. We will have representatives from the Count My Vote movement and the county commissioner who takes the opposite point of view. We'll have our discussion when we come back.
Cedar City, Utah is home of the Tony Award-winning Utah Shakespeare Festival. But did you know that we also offer a different kind of play?
Escape the gray. Head south for clear skies. Cedar City, Bryan Head. you ever wanted to recreate the world around you? Add some excitement, culture, adventure? Well, there's no need to remake the world when that perfect combination already exists. Just remember 4 words. Welcome to Weber County. In Ogden, you'll find everything you're looking for, from the top of Powder Mountain to the restaurants of our revitalized downtown. Ogden, Utah. Mountain to metro and everything in between. Visit Ogden.com.
I lived in Phoenix and then down in Orange County in California, and I met a small town girl and she brought me home. Just the smaller community that makes you feel like when you go somewhere you know everybody. You know, the sporting programs, the dance events, all these kinds of things, you run into people you know and that care about you and your family. And that makes it just a wonderful place to have little ones like this.
Isn't it time you found the balance you've been looking for? Uinta County, Utah.
Skiing is expensive, right? Well, how about we do something about that? Eagle Point, Southern Utah's premier resort located right outside of Beaver, Utah, is proud to announce $25 lift tickets all season long. Ski and snowboard Utah's newest resort for the lowest price, and find out why the Point, with its family-friendly staff and great atmosphere, will become your second home. $25 lift passes all season. Go to EaglePointResort.com for eligibility and restrictions. 5 lifts, 40 named runs, 1,500 vertical feet. Endless possibilities. Eagle Point Resort.
How would you spend an extra day in Utah Valley? Stay one more day. Visit UtahValley.com to make reservations. Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.